Hey, welcome to Big Blind. My name's Craig Petty, and on behalf of Murphy Studio, I want to introduce you to something that I kind of consider my holy grail. You see, let me explain something to you. Every single creator in Magic, they have a holy grail, something that they've been working on for years and years and years. This is my holy grail. I've always wanted to be able to predict a playing card that somebody would name, but the prediction was in full view from the very, very beginning. And if you think about that, that's kind of impossible to have the thing that's predicting the playing card in full view from the very beginning, and yet having someone name any card and the prediction is 100% correct every single time. And I'm going to go through the history behind this effect in a bit, and there's been so much development. This has been years in the making. But the stipulations that I had for this routine is I needed to make sure that it was a freely named card, no limitations at all. They can name any one of the 52 cards, and it will always be corrected 100% of the time. And that's what we have here. In front of you right now, you're holding what I consider to be my magnus opus. I really do believe that this is one of the strongest things that I've ever developed. It's taken years to get to this point. But what we have now is a product that you can literally open up. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of different ways of doing it, but you will be able to go out and start performing this almost immediately, regardless of your skill level, because I'm going to go through so many different ways of doing this, your head's going to spin. But ultimately, it's a very easy trick to learn. It's a very easy system to get your head around. So I hope I've got you excited. I hope I've got you hyped up. We're going to start in the next section by talking about what Big Blind is and going through an unboxing and a little bit of history. You like money?
I do like money. Yeah, I do like money.
Give you a chance to win some money. Okay, so hold your hand out for me. All I ask you is that you're honest and you don't lie, right?
Okay.
I've got 3 poker chips inside this purse. Each one of them is worth 50 quid.
Okay.
Hence the 50 on the back.
Okay.
Okay, be honest, tell the truth, don't lie. I want you to think of a card.
Okay.
Don't say anything, but think of a card.
Yep.
I'm going to bet you I can work out what your card is.
Okay.
Bet you 50 quid I can work out the suit of your card.
Okay.
Concentrate. It's a club.
Fucking is a club, isn't it?
See?
Yeah, it's a club.
At this point, I'm God.
A little bit.
I'm going to give you another chance, all right? I'm going to bet you another 50 quid. This time, I'm going to bet you 50 quid. I can tell you the value of your card.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people think that the value is harder. It's actually quite easy if you know what you're doing. But you've got to be honest, don't lie. A lot of time, this is where people lie, be honest, all right? It's a 6.
No.
What is it?
3.
So close then.
Close.
This is my last poker chip.
Okay.
Okay, I've got an idea. I'm going to bet you that I can prove to you, without a shadow of a doubt, I knew what your card would be before you even picked it. Now, here's the deal. If I can't prove to you, categorically, without a shadow of a doubt, I knew what your card would be before you even picked it, I give you 150 quid. I've got to prove to your satisfaction. Is that fair?
Yes, fair.
That's fair, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If not, you walk away with 150 quid.
Okay.
So what was your code?
3 of clubs.
Yeah, I knew that. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Proof. Where's the proof?
You don't believe me?
Proof's in the pudding.
Wow.
Well, the proof is that I never showed you the other side of the poker chips. But if I had, you would have seen a 3 on that one, an off on that one, and the clubs on that one.
Son of a bitch. Alright, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that.
That's so good.
That's so fucking good, man.
Thanks,
I love
man.
it.
Thank you.
That is so...
So in essence, what Big Blind allows you to do is put 3 poker chips down on the table. Have somebody name a card, and no matter what card they name at the end of the routine, you're going to be able to show that that exact card was predicted on the other side of the poker chips. Now I'm going to go through many different ways of doing this. I'm going to go through how to do it when you get the information in real time. I'm going to talk about how to do it when you get the information ahead of time. I'm going to talk about a bunch of different ways. But first of all, let me briefly tell you about the history behind this effect. And the person I need to credit and the product I need to credit is the Predator wallet by R. Paul Wilson. Now, R. Paul Wilson is one of the greatest creators of all time. I'm sure you'll all agree with me. And he, many years ago, brought out something called the Predator wallet. And I did the Predator wallet for a long time. And the Predator wallet basically was a big billfold wallet. And you took 3 bills out of your wallet throughout the routine that you were using to bet with the participant. And at the end of the routine, written on the 3 bills were the card that they named. It was a great routine, but there were a few problems with it. First of all, the wallet was very big and bulky. The second problem was you needed a whole bunch of bills to do this. Like, you needed a lot of bills. So being in America, it's not so bad because you can have $1, but we don't have that in the UK. So I was having to use £5 notes. So in essence, I had to have hundreds of pounds tied up in this one trick. And also, although there was a point at the end of the routine that you could show the wallet empty, the wallet, the bill, what I wanted when I started really performing the Predator wallet is I wanted the bills out on the table from the very beginning. I wanted to take the 3 bills out at the very beginning of the routine and then put the wallet away and not go back to it. And that just wasn't possible with the original method. So through a lot of trial and error over the course of years, I came to the idea of using poker chips. And originally, at the first iteration of this, was using a big index of poker chips in my pocket. And that's what I originally kind of came up with my working method. It was Lloyd Barnes who said to me, well, that's great, but how about you reduce the size of the index by using shells instead? And through the last few years, myself and Murphy's Magic have been working on the props that you now have in front of you. And we've gone through so many different prototypes, but this streamlines everything because now those poker chips can be on the table from the very beginning. And yet you're able to do the exact same routine that you could have done years ago with the Predator wallet, but you can take it to an entirely different level. So with that history out the way, let me just show you what's inside the box. So when you open up the box, you're going to see a few things, okay? Now, the first thing you're going to see, and before I properly explain what this is all about, I'm going to explain a little bit the history behind these props as well. So, first of all, when you open up the box, you're going to see that there's 3 poker chips here. Now, these 3 poker chips are far from normal. They've been designed to look like normal poker chips, absolutely, and nobody will question the authenticity. And in actual fact, the design of these poker chips was designed by Phil Smith. And as you know, I'm a massive Phil Smith fan. But it's not like the marked or anything. It's just that Phil had the perfect vision for how to make these things look. Now, when you look at they're all 50. They all look the same from one side. On the other side, one of them is when you get your set, it's going to have different stuff on them. But one of them is going to have of. Okay, so this one here is going to have of. Now, this one is a normal poker chip. There's nothing special about this. It just has of on one side. It has 50 on the other side. These 2 are special. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, my set has a heart in one and diamond in the other. You might not have heart and diamond. You might have different suits. It's not a problem. You'll see why in a minute. So those are the 3 poker chips. Now, the next thing that you're going to get inside here is this. Now, this was designed by Javier Fuenmayer from Murphy Studios. And we went through lots of different iterations. This is basically an index. And it holds every single possible outcome that you would need with for a playing card. And you'll see this in a minute, but you'll see that all of these inserts are removable. And when you remove these inserts, you're going to see that there's magnets here, here, and here, and here, here, and here. Okay? So you're going to have 8 magnets altogether. You can have 8 magnets altogether, like this. You can have 8 magnets. You're going to have 3 running down that side. You're going to have 3 running down that side, and you're going to have 2 in the middle. Now, your inserts might not be in the right place. So very quickly, I'm going to tell you right now, if you look at the inserts, you're going to see that all of these inserts cover every single value. They're actually double-sided. So the 2 has a 3 on the other side. The 4 has a 5 on the other side, as you can see. Now, this is what's interesting. There's only 6 and there's 13 values. Well, if you look here, so the 2 has a 3 on the other side. The 4 has a 5 on the other side. The 6 has a 7 on the other side. But the 8 doesn't have a 9. And the reason is the 6 is being designed in such a way that it will double up as a 9. So the 6 can be a 9 or a 6, which means on the back of the 8, we can put the ace. The 10 has a jack, and the queen has a king. Okay, these are the inserts that you're going to get. And the way I set it up, if you have a look here at if you have a look at the actual index, you'll notice at one end there's a little notch. That was a later add-on in the development of this trick. The notch allows you to feel which way this index is orientated while it's in your pocket. But you're going to have the notch pointing up like this. And the way I set this up is you're going to put the 2 in there, the 4 in there, you're going to put the 6 in there, the 8 there, the 10 there, and the queen there. So all the even values are pointing up, and they're going 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, queen. Now, these are actually magnetic. These are magnetic, so they're going to hold inside there perfectly. That's what these magnets are for. Now, the other thing that you should know is if you take the poker chip with of and put that to one side, take the other two chips, and what I want you to do is hold it like this, so the 50 is pointing upwards, and these 2 magnets in the middle, just drop it onto one of those magnets and take it away. And you'll see that that is actually an insert as well. This is a shell. But it's a shell that's designed to hold these inserts. So unlike a normal coin shell, where the shell goes to the very edge and it's just designed to cover up a coin, this looks way more deceptive because the shell is actually inward and it's just the insert that fits in there. And you'll notice that those same magnets that are here are also inside there. Okay? Now, you'll notice that this spade has a diamond on the other side. Okay, and if we do the same with this one here, you'll notice that this club has a heart on the other side. So you have 2 inserts that cover the 4 suits. And I typically put them here and here, like this, and that's where they sit, and that's where they stay. Now, you need to remember which suit is on which, and we made these so the soft suits are here, and these sharp suits are here. Now, if you don't know what I mean by soft and sharp suits, the club is a soft suit because there's these little round sections here. The heart is also a soft suit because there's little round sections on there. But the spade is a sharp suit because of that point, and the diamond is a sharp suit because it's got nothing but points. Okay, that's how you remember it very, very easily. So in essence, you have 2 shells, you have 1 index, and you have a real chip which has of on it. Now, in the next section, I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to do with this. It's a very simple routine, and we're going to go through the main routine. I do want to show you one thing, first of all. You will notice that when you take one of the inserts, let's just take this club insert for now, and we'll just pop it inside there like that. Now, you'll notice it immediately magnetically locks. Now, when that insert is in there, it's not going to come out. It's going to stay in there forever until you put it against that magnet right there, okay? It's going to just stay in there like that. Now, you can actually hand these out for examination. I've done this routine for years, and you can hand this out for examination. And what spectators will do when you give them these chips is they'll just turn them over like this, and they'll just look at them. Now, you will notice that if you put your finger in here, you can, if you want to, spin that round. Now, that is totally not an issue because nobody ever does that. What they do is they look at it and they go, yeah, it's a poker chip. I designed these chips, or myself and Javier designed these chips this way because this is the best way to do it. Let me show you the original design of these. So the original design of these, I've got them here. This was probably prototype number 4 or prototype number 5. And what we have here is you will notice it's basically the same concept, different colors, and so on and so forth, slightly different red, and the inserts are different. We used words on the original prototype. We switched it to numbers because we thought that looked better, and especially from a language point of view for people that live in non-English speaking countries. But the big difference that you'll notice is the actual inserts. I don't know if you can see this. The actual inserts have little knobbly bits going around the outside. The reason for the knobbly bits like this, the reason for these knobbly bits here, is because it was designed to lock this in place so you couldn't spin it around. Let me show you what I mean. If I take one of these inserts out, boom, there we go. You'll notice that when, let's put the rest over to one side for a minute, you'll notice that when this goes in here, it's not going to spin because the knobbly sections here stop it from spinning. And my original thought on this was we'll design it that way so that if you hand it out and somebody does this, it's not going to spin, nothing weird's going to happen with it. Now, let me explain why we didn't go with that. The reason we didn't go with that is because part of the routine is you need to very, very quickly and secretly, while you have one of these inserts in palm, you need to put it into the insert. Now, the problem that you have, and you can see it happening here, is it won't go in automatically. You have to have it go in, and you have to kind of twist it around a little bit, which under fire became a little bit of a problem because it's like I'm trying to get this in now, and I have to kind of fiddle around with it to get it in. So even though it locks in place, it was difficult to actually put it in very, very quickly. Now, if we compare that to these, which are the ones that you've received, if I want to just do this, let's say I've got a chip on the table, because it's completely round, all I have to do is just pick this up and put it down, or pick it up and put it into my other hand, and it's automatically gone in. And if I want to hold it in this angle, and we're going to talk about walk-around routines, if I want to hold it up here and just take it in this hand, that's how quick the insert is. So I decided that it was much better to have the insert go in like that and make it so much easier for anybody to use. I spent 6 months working with those chips, and there were a few times where I was a little bit nervous because it wasn't locking in place. I was like, I don't want anyone buying this and having those issues. So that's why we went for this design. So now you've got the history behind it. You've unboxed it. You know basically what all of these props are. I'm going to go through the main routine. There's lots of other ways of handling this, which we'll get to later on, but I want to start off by going through the main routine. Okay, so I'm going to show you the main routine. First of all, I'm going to perform it to Lloyd Barnes behind the camera. And then once I've performed it, I'm going to go through how this main routine works. So, Lloyd, I have in my pocket some poker chips. I actually have 3 poker chips. You'll notice each one of them has a 50 on it. And the reason for that is each one of these poker chips is worth £50. Now, in a minute, I'm going to have you think of a playing card. And I guarantee you, I know what card you're going to think of. And I'm so confident about that, I'm going to bet you real money. You could end up walking away with £150 right now, or at least the equivalent of £150, if I screw this up. But trust me, I'm not going to screw it up. So I have three poker chips. I'm going to make a £50 bet. First of all, Lloyd, get a card in your mind. Have you got it?
Yes.
Good. Don't say anything. I'm going to make a £50 bet. Lloyd, I bet you £50 that I can tell you that the suit that you're thinking of is a heart.
No.
It's not.
No.
What's the suit?
Diamond.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so the good news is you're now £50 up. Well done. Good job. This is not going the way I wanted it to. Okay, I'll redeem myself. I bet another £50 that I can tell you the value of your card.
Okay.
Okay?
Take that bet.
It's a 7.
No.
No?
No.
What was it?
It was a 2.
Okay, so at this point, I should point out that I'm not a particularly great mentalist. However, I have got one more 50. I'll go one step further. I'll put the other 50 down, and I will bet you 150 quid. Here's the deal. If I can't prove to you categorically, without a shadow of a doubt, I knew what your card would be before you even thought of it, and I have to prove it to your satisfaction. If I can't prove it to your satisfaction, then I give you 150 quid. But if I can prove it to your satisfaction, I don't give you anything, and you give me a big round of applause for being so clever.
Sounds good to me.
That sound fair?
Sounds fair.
Okay,
More than
okay.
fair.
It should be more than fair. And the reason is I have something in my pocket. I have an envelope. And this envelope has been here from the very, very beginning. This envelope has been in my pocket before we even started this craziness. There is one playing card inside this envelope. Lloyd, if that playing card right there was actually your card, then you'd agree that I would not have to give you anything. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, because I do only have one card inside this envelope. And this one card has on it, what was the card again?
2 of diamonds.
Yeah, the 2 of diamonds is there, Lloyd. They're all there. So, are you satisfied?
No.
No, most people aren't when I do that. However, I really did know exactly what your card would be. And to prove it to you, I'm going to show you the poker chips. You see, I never actually showed you what was on the other side of the poker chips. And realistically, I should have, because you thought of the 2 of diamonds. You could have thought of any card that you thought of the 2 of diamonds. And what I didn't show you is on this one, we have a 2. On this one, we have an of. And on this one, we have a diamond. Lloyd, the 2 of diamonds.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, that's killer. That is absolutely killer. Now, such cool thing about this, and later on I'm doing it on a table now. Later on we're going to talk about walk around handling, but right now I've done this for so long, nobody ever wants to look at these chips, but if they pick them up, there's nothing for them to find. They're just chips, and they've been there on the table from the very, very beginning. Now we're going to talk about lots of different ways of actually doing this, but that is kind of what I consider to be the main routine. So to do this, let me explain what you're going to need. And the reset, by the way, is next to nothing. The reset is very, very simple. All I have to do with the reset is, as I walk away, I just do that, and I do that, and I'm reset. It's not exactly a long reset, is it? So you have the 3 poker chips, and to do this routine, you need something that you can bring out of your pocket that kind of works as a gag. So I'm using a 52 on 1 card here. You could have just a billet in your pocket with your card written on the back of it. You could have your business card with your card written on it. There's a million different ways to actually go with this. You don't have to use a 52 on 1 card. And in actual fact, I performed this over and over again at the Blackpool Magic Convention 2024, and I was just using a piece of paper with your card written on it. It doesn't have to be anything. But the reason for this is to justify a trip into your pocket. Okay? So this goes in your pocket, whatever you're going to use. Now, the way I do this, I just have the 3 poker chips in my left-hand pocket. And in my right-hand pocket, I'm going to have the index. Okay? So I'm going to have the index in my right-hand pocket with the notch pointing up. There is a notch on every single one of these indexes so that if it rotates around, you'll know. Okay, now these will fit into any. I typically do this standing up, and I'll do this out of my jeans pocket. They'll go into skinny jeans, normal jeans. They'll go into comfort jeans. You can have them in your right-hand pocket, your back pocket. If you're left-handed, you can put it in your left-hand pocket. If you're sitting down at a table like I am here, you can use a suit jacket pocket. It's totally up to you. So that goes there. Now, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to actually take these out my pockets and put them here. So we'll pretend that that's my right-hand pocket, and we'll pretend that that's my left-hand pocket. So when I want to do this, all I'm going to do... Oh, and by the way, the other thing I should show you is because there's magnets in these chips, the 2 shells want to stick together. Okay, the 2 shells want to stick together. So that makes it really easy to keep everything together in your pocket and keep it orientated the correct way. Okay, so when I go into this, I say I'm going to have you think of a playing card, and I'm going to bet you I know what your card is. Both hands go into the pockets. Your left hand is going to bring out the chips. Your right hand is going to palm in finger palm the two suits. So you're just going to reach into your pocket, grab the two suits, and they're going to just sit there in finger palm. So if I just put this over here for a second, you'll see they're just in finger palm. Now, it doesn't really matter which way up these are, because you're going to be able to tell them very, very easily, but you want to make sure that the same color is pointing up. So in this case, I've got black pointing up. Nobody's looking here because everyone's looking at the chips. Now I'm going to talk about various different ways in a bit of loading these chips. And in the next routine, I'm going to talk to you about how to do this without actually doing this palming at all. But for now, let's just assume you're doing it this way, which is the way I typically do it. So you've got these two in finger palm here, and you've put the three chips on the table. I typically have the of in the middle, okay? So I have them think of a playing card. So Lloyd, can you think of a different card for me? Would that be okay?
Yes.
Good. So I tell them I'm going to bet them that I know what the suit is. So I take the middle chip, which is the one with of on it, and you're going to be working one ahead here. So I put the middle chip in front of them, and I say, I bet you that you are. I'm gonna bet you £50. And by the way, these chips are they don't reference currency, so they'll work in any country. So if you're in America, for example, use dollars. But I say, I bet you £50 that I know the suit that you're thinking of. And I will always say heart, because for some reason, more people name heart than anything else. Now, if they name heart, you're golden. It looks amazing. Heart, you thought of heart. Yes, brilliant. If they don't name heart, it's totally not a problem. If they go, no, you go, oh, what was the suit? And they go, diamond. It's totally not an issue. Now, what you're going to do, you're holding the other two chips here, right? And you've got these two here. All you have to do, and if I turn around here like this, you'll see, you know that on the spade, there is a diamond, and you know on the club there's a heart. So if you've got them black side up, like I have, this is how the load works on all four chips. If they name the spade, I'm just going to push that to the fingertips like this, take this one, and as I take it away, that gets locked in place. Right, so if they name a spade, I just push it up like that, and that locks in place. Now notice, I'm holding the two chips together. In a normal environment, there's a small click when the insert goes into the shell. Nobody will notice that in a normal environment with ambient noise. But by keeping the two chips together, as I take it away, I can hit those chips, and that covers the noise completely and totally, right? There's no noise. So if they name the spade, you literally do that. You push up like this, you take the chip away, and you load that one in. Now, if they name the club, if they say, oh no, I thought of club, your thumb just switches these around in your hand like that. Let me just show you this. It's very easy to do. You're just literally doing that. So you're literally just switching them around in your hand. Now, when you're holding this like this, let me show you what. So I've got club here. It looks like nothing. It looks like I'm just taking the chips in the other hand, but I've now got the spade here. So again, I'm literally, and I'm going to go through in the next routine how to do this without actually using this palming system. But I wanted to show you first of all how I actually do it. So you push up like this, and then you push it back down behind. You push it up. Do you see that? Does that come across clear? Good. So, but when you do it up here like this, so there's the spade. So if they're named clubs, it would look like this. So I'm holding these, and you go, club, really? Okay, no problem. Well, let's try it again. And now I've loaded the club in. It's very, very quick. Okay? Because what you do is when you switch them, so let's say it's club again, you switch them like that, and they're completely silent. They're not coins, so they're completely silent. You then push that club up to the fingertips. You're holding these in a fan, and you do that same load as you take them away. Okay? If they name one of the red suits, so let's go back here. So we've got spades and we've got clubs. If they name one of the red suits, I'm just going to flip that whole stack over. Okay? Let me show you that again. I'm going to flip that whole stack over inside my hand. Like that. Let me see if I can kind of come here. Can you see what's happening here? I'm flipping the whole stack around like this. The whole stack is just flipped around, right? And then I'm going to be able to see what suit I've got. And I've got heart here, so if it's a heart, I can just push it up and do the normal load. If it's a diamond, I can move those around and I can push it up. So let me show you this from here. So I've got spade, perfect. So let me show you from the front, okay? So I've got these two here. If they name, for example, heart, I've already spun them around, so I just come in and take it and put it down. That is heart, okay? If, however, they want spade, let's just come back to here. I'm holding these two here. You can see that I've got spade and club here. I'm just going to flip the whole thing around as I take them. And now I'm moving the position, and then I'm coming up and I'm taking this one away, and that's diamond. Okay, it's very, very easy to do. And in the next routine, I'm going to show you how to not do that at all. But that's what I do. So I take it away, and I say, let me bet you another £50 that I can tell you what the value of your card is. And I put the next one down. And I say, and I always go for a 7. And I say it's a 7. And the amount of times that I actually get this right is crazy, by the way. And if they say yes, you go, brilliant. If they say no, you go, oh, what was it? And they go 5, and you go, oh, darn. Now, here's the thing. So if you got the suit right, but you got the value wrong, you go, well, you've won £50, but I tell you what, I'll give you a chance to win all 150. I take the last shell and I just put it down. I've not put anything into there. And then I go through the whole presentational thing about if I can prove to you I knew what your card was ahead of time, we'll call it even. Okay, if not, I'll give you all 3. You'll get £150. And they're going to go, yep, that's fair. Now, all you're going to do with your right hand is you're going to go, and if I bring this up here for a minute so you can see, I'm going to go into, so let's pretend this is my pocket. And I've got the envelope in there, and I've got the index in there. My right hand's going to go into my pocket, and I just stick that to the magnet. As soon as I've stuck it to the magnet, I know. So which value have you got, Lloyd?
Jack.
Jack. So if it's 2, 4, or 6, I know it's over here. It's difficult to do it by holding it here. So let me show you. If it's 8, 10, or queen, it's there. So Jack is behind the 10. So what I would do, let me just put this into my pocket. It's very easy to show you. So this is in there. This is in there. Right, like that. So all I would do, I've still got this palmed. I'm going to stick that back onto there. I'm going to go in. I'm just going to feel for the second one down. I know that's a jack. So as I come out with the envelope, I'm going to bring that out. And now you can see I've got the jack there. It's very, very quick, and it just takes a second, right? And it takes just a second as you bring this out. Working with this is like working with any index. It's a much easier index to use because there's only 6 things that you need to bring out. So it's a much easier index to use. You've got that notch, so you know which way's which, and you can very easily grab. It's literally just a case of pulling it out like that. So you just kind of go down with your finger, you feel for the notch, and you go, yeah, I've got the right side. So if it was a 2, I go, yep, the notch is there. I can just feel for the 2, I can pull it into my hand. If it's a 4, yep, the notch is there. I can come down, I can grab the 4. If it's a 6, I'm just going to come all the way down to the bottom. If it's a 3, I'm still going to pull out the 2. If it's a 5, I'm going to pull out the 4. If it's a 7, I'm going to pull out the 6. If it's an 8, what I do is I just pull it out from the other side and I bring it onto the magnet and just pull it over into my hand. Okay. If it's an ace, I'm going to pull the same thing out because it's an ace on the other side. If it's a 10, same thing. I'm just going to take it out and pull it into my hand. And that's with the jack as well. And if it's a queen, I'll typically move that up to that magnet, pull out the queen and pull it out like that into my hand. It is very easy. If you stand up and you put this in your pocket and you just ask Siri or Alexa to name a playing card value over and over again, and you spend 10 minutes doing this, you'll find it's very, very easy to just go in there and take out the relevant insert that you need. It doesn't take any time at all. So let's go back to it being jack. So this would be here in my hand, and I would have brought the envelope out. This is in my pocket. And then I say, hey, if this was, if this had your card in it, would that be good? And they say yes. Now, I didn't have Lloyd with me here. If Lloyd was here, I would give him the envelope and I'd get him to open it. Okay? And all I'm going to do is, there's two options here. The first option is I can just pick up the 3 chips like this, and I've got my jack here, so I can just come in and load it as I'm just messing around with the chips and then put them down. The other option is that chip's there, this one's here. I can orientate the jack the other way. So before, when we were loading it, it was that way up. Now we're going to load it this way. So the jack's on the bottom, and what I can do is kind of almost do a cups and balls load. So this is in finger palm. I can rest my hand naturally on the table like this. And as I pick up this chip, I'm just going to literally pull it onto the insert and load it in like this. So I can literally, I'm here, let me show you that in full speed. It's in finger palm. I'm resting my hands naturally on the table like this. They're opening up the envelope, and I can literally just say, remember, you're going to get all of these if you win. Nobody's looking over here. They're all looking at the envelope, right? If you want to open up the envelope, I would suggest that you do it from a fan. So if you want to open up the envelope yourself, I would suggest you're in this position, and you just take them and you just put them down like that, okay? At that point, they take it out and you've got the gag. If it's a bit, you don't need the envelope, as I say. It could be a business card. It could have your card written on the other side. It's completely up to you. But you've got this gag. It's very, very funny. Ha, 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 ha. The other thing I've played around with is you could have written on here, look on the poker chips. Now, so when they turn the card round, it says, look on the poker chips. And you go, well, you're probably wondering how that proves that I knew what your card was. Well, the reason's simple. These poker chips have been here the whole time, and you could have thought of any card. Now, here's an interesting psychological bit here. They don't actually, even though they've told you the suit and the value of their card, they haven't actually told you the card. They haven't said Jack of Diamonds in this case. So because they haven't told you the name of the card, you can say to them, you know, for the first time, what was the name of your card? And it's interesting, the amount of times I perform this, that people think that that's the very first time they've named the card, even though it's not, because they forget about it, the other parts. So you just say, look, for the first time, name your card. They go, Jack of Diamonds. And you go, well, why do you think it said, look on the poker chips? Well, the reason is I didn't show you the other side of the poker chips, but if I did, this one says Jack, this one says of, and this one is a diamond. That's the Jack of Diamonds. Now, nobody will want to pick these up. They just won't. Nobody wants to pick them up. If they do want to pick them up, all they're going to do is this. Now, the one thing you've got to be careful of, these magnetize together. So if you give them to the same person, that does look a bit suspicious. So the way to deal with that is if they want to look at them, you can say, hey, you look at that one, you look at that one, you look at that one. Or if they pick these two are fine, you can pick these two up and then say, have a look at that one. But honestly, nobody ever wants to look at these things anyway. They can see exactly what it is. They can see that they've been printed, permanently printed on the other side. So, you know, it's a little bit, nobody ever wants to look at them. You can see exactly what it is. Now, the one thing I will say before we move on that's worth noting, and this is really important, is this. If you don't like the idea of having the two inserts in the same hand, the other thing that you can do, and this is a really great way of doing it actually, the other way that you can do it, just to go through this, is you only have one of your suits on your index, and the other suit is in your left-hand pocket, okay? And the chips are wherever you want them to be. So in this method, you say, I'm going to show you something with some poker chips. Both hands go into your pockets. You finger palm the suit inserts in each hand, okay? And then you bring out the chips and you put them down on the table. Now this completely eliminates the need to switch them around because you've got one suit here and one suit here. So I've got spades here, clubs here. So if they name a club, and I'm holding these here like this, if they name a club, I've got two options. The first option is I can just load it like that straight away. If they name a heart, I can flip it over and load it like that straight away. But if they name a spade, I can do exactly the same thing from this hand. So it's just as easy to load from this hand. You just come in and you take it and you put it down and you can load it in. So if you don't want to have both inserts palmed in the same hand, you don't actually need to. You can actually get away without doing that. And the other thing is, having just one in each hand, you don't even need to hold them in a fan. What you can do is you can have them here. You can put the 3 chips down on the table, and then you can put this one forward. And when they say the suit, name a suit for me, Lloyd.
Clubs.
Clubs. So I know the clubs are here. So watch, all I have to do is say, well, that leaves us with 2, and I'm done. Look, I've got the club there. So I don't have to bring it up as a fan. I can just do it off the table because I've only got one in each hand. So if you feel more comfortable having an insert palmed in the left hand and an insert palmed in the right hand, you can absolutely do that if you want to. The other thing that you can do with this classic handling, and there's no reason why you can't do this. I don't like doing this, but I just want to let you know that you can do it as the sake of completeness. You can have the 3 chips in the same pocket as the index. So you can actually go in and take out the first chip and put it down, which is the of. And then when you go in to get the next chip, you can actually put the insert in inside your pocket. I wouldn't recommend doing that because I like having the chips out on the table from the very beginning, but the option is there. Now, in the next routine, I'm going to show you how to do that same thing, but without any palming at the beginning. That's right, you're not going to need to palm anything. Okay, so the second handling I want to share with you is, I love this handling because it keeps everything very self-contained. And you need a purse. Now, the Tom and Oscar style coin purses don't really work for this because the chips are too big. You need to find yourself a purse that's big enough to hold 3 chips. This purse is fine. The TCC coin purses are perfect for this as well. Any purse that's big enough to hold the 3 chips. Now, all you're going to do is you're going to have your 2 shells and your of, and you're going to put them inside here. And how you're going to do it is very important. You're going to do it like this. So you're going to have them in this order. So you have the of at the front, and you have the 2 shells at the rear. Okay, so you have the of at the front, you have the 2 shells at the rear. Okay, just like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your 2 suit inserts off your index, and you're going to put them into the purse as well, but at the front with the black suits pointing forward. So you've got the inserts and you've got the poker chips in there. They're in the purse, you're good to go. This index is in your pocket. If you want to use a 52-on-1 card or a business card or whatever, that goes in there as well. Now, here's what you do. You bring out the purse and you explain that you've got 3 poker chips in here, and you can actually show the 3 poker chips. They can see that there's 3 poker chips in there. If you want to, you can take them out, but I tend not to. I show the 3 poker chips, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the poker chip furthest away from me, which is the of, and I say, hey, I've got 3 poker chips, each one's worth £50. I'm going to give you a chance to win £150. So you say to the spectator, think of a card. I'm going to bet you £50. I can tell you the suit. So now you put the first poker chip down and you guess the suit. And you go, it's a club or whatever it may be. Let's say they say it's a heart. Now, what you're going to do, and hopefully you can see in there, you know that you've got these 2 inserts. I'll take these out so you can see. In the purse, we've got this situation. We've got these 2 inserts at the front, and we know that the black sides are pointing that way. So if they said hearts, I'm going to reach to the back, and I can very easily inside the purse take either one of these. So if I know it's a heart, I would take this one, I'd bring it to the front, and I would put it inside the poker chip as I take it out. And if it's one of the black ones, I'm just going to turn it around and do exactly the same thing. So let me show you what that looks like inside the purse. So I know that we've got club and heart there, and I know we've got spade and diamond there. So, Lloyd, name a suit.
Spades.
Okay, so I know, remember, that the spade and diamond, you said spade, yeah?
Yeah.
I know the spade and diamond is furthest away, and I know I'm going to need to turn that spade round. This is how it looks. Now, they can't see inside the purse. So I just tip it slightly towards me. I'm going to take the correct insert, bring it around to the other side, and then just take it out. Doesn't look like I've done anything. It just looks like I'm taking out another poker chip. But I've put the correct insert into that poker chip in the purse. It means that I've eliminated all of the initial palming. I don't need to do any of that initial palming. I can literally just take the second poker chip out. But here's the beautiful thing about this. If you don't want to use the prediction or the gag or the 52 and 1 card or the joke, you don't have to with this routine, because you have another justification to go into your pocket. Because at this point you go, well, I'm going to bet you this poker chip that I can tell you what the value is. It's a 7. And let's say they say, no, it's a queen. And you say, well, I've got one more poker chip. Now all I'm going to do is take this poker chip out, put it down, and I'm leaving that last insert in the purse. I'm just going to close the purse. There's nothing in the purse now, so I have a reason to put it away. So I put the purse away into my pocket, and as soon as I put the purse away in my pocket, I'm going to grab the insert that I need, in this case, the queen. I'm just going to grab that one, and I'm going to bring that one out. And now I can say, well, I've got one last poker chip, which is the insert here. I've got one last poker chip. If I can prove to you that I knew categorically, without a shadow of a doubt, what your card is, would that be good? And they go, yeah. And you go, well, I never showed you the other side of the poker chip. I don't have to do the gag at this point, because my justification for putting my hand in the pocket was to put the purse away. So now I can literally just turn these around. I can go, well, I never showed you. This is a spade, this is of, and this is queen. That's how I knew the card you were thinking of. So by using a purse, you're cleaning things up in a couple of different ways. First of all, you're not holding anything in your hands secretly. Second of all, you're not having to move inserts around to get them into the right orientation. Third of all, everything is self-contained into the purse. And finally, you're eliminating the gag, because you have a reason for putting your hand in your pocket by eliminating the purse. Honestly, I would suggest that a lot of people use this as their handling, because it's going to make things so much easier for you, and you're not having to use the gag. Not that there's anything wrong with the gag's fine, but I know this sort of thing, a 52 and 1 card, doesn't necessarily fit every style of performer. It fits me, but it won't fit every style of performer. But by doing it this way, you're making the routine a lot easier, and at the same time, you're completely eliminating the need for anything other than a purse, which keeps everything self-contained. So that is the purse handling. It's probably my favorite handling, to be honest. I just want to mention to you guys, by the way, I'm talking about justifying putting your hand in your pocket. You don't need to actually justify that if you don't want to. If you don't want to use a purse and you don't want to use a gag card, you can just casually put your hands in your pocket. So let's say we've got to this point where we have the 3 chips on the table like this, and you kind of failed, and you go, well, I've got one last chip. Don't know what I can do about this, to be honest. I'm not too sure. This has never gone wrong. I know, I've got an idea. And you're just casually putting your hands in your pockets. See, casually putting your hands in your pockets, and you're like, I don't really know what I'm going to do. I know. How about if I could prove to you, and as your hands go in your pocket, you steal this. How about if I could prove to you I knew exactly what your card was before you even thought of it? Would that be fair? Okay, well, I can prove to you, because these chips have been here on the table from the very beginning. What I didn't tell you is this one has a queen on it, this one has an of on it, this has a spade on it. So it's the nice thing about this routine is it's very casual the way it's performed. And, because you kind of got this scenario where maybe you're not actually getting it correct throughout the routine, they're kind of just thinking, well, this is obviously not going to work for this guy. And then at the end, you hit them between the eyes with a nuclear weapon, is what you're doing with this final reveal. But it means that you can be very nonchalant, you can be very casual, you can put your hands in your pockets, and to be honest, nobody will notice. Because, would it be an issue putting your hands in your pockets if you were trying to actually switch one of these chips? Yes, absolutely. But you're not. From their point of view, the chips are on the table. You could even, if you wanted to, and I wouldn't recommend doing this, you can have them sign the chips, because the chips aren't being switched. They're the same chips. So because the chips are staying the same and they're not changing and they're not being switched, casually putting your hands in your pockets is not an issue at all. So, the point I'm trying to say is make this routine your own and find the way that you do it that makes it better for you. The other thing I want to mention, by the way, and I kind of touched on this before briefly, but the amount of times that you get this correct is insane. Bearing in mind, with the suit thing, you've got a 1 in 4 chance, right? And a lot of people will name hearts. The amount of people that name hearts is crazy, unless you're doing it for magicians. I was frying magicians' brains at Blackpool before this was even a product. By just everyone at the convention was talking about this because I was just nailing it every time. Because a lot of magicians will name clubs for some reason. I don't know why. Clubs and spades, they go for black suits. But you will get this right more often than not. And when you do, I mean, it's just incredible when you think about it. You're telling them to think of a card. They're not writing it down. They're not saying it. And you're saying to them, I bet you I can tell you the suit. It's a club. Yes, it is. Oh, my God. That's incredible. I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to tell you the value. Now, I'll tell you what happens an awful lot. I have nailed the value many times. And I feel like a freaking rock star. But a lot of the time, I'll be one off. Like, I'll say 7 and they'll go, oh, no, it was an 8, but you were close. And that's a great scenario. We go, yeah, I was close. I can't believe I failed. I tell you what. And now you've got this whole scenario where people think that, like, you were close before, but now you show that you're absolutely bang on from the very, very beginning. The other nice thing about the way that this particular routine is constructed is we've all been in that scenario where we're performing at a gig and there's that kind of alpha male that's trying to screw your tricks up. He can't, like, if you were doing this thing legitimately and you meet that spectator who changes the suit when you've told them the suit just to make you look like a dick, right? We've all had that spectator. If you meet somebody like that, it makes no difference because you're going to nail him anyway. Because even if he tries to make you look like you've got everything completely wrong, you're still going to show that you were completely right at the end anyway. It's kind of pulling out the rug from underneath their feet. So there's so much to love about this particular routine. And later on, we're going to talk about different ways of presenting where we're not one ahead. But by using this one ahead system, the amount of times that you will actually nail that card every single time is crazy. The other thing that I'd like to point out about this main routine is when you do get it right, you will have to slightly change the presentation. Because if you think about it, when you're actually presenting this, let's say that everything goes wrong. You go, look, I'm going to bet you £50 that I know what your suit is. It's a heart. No, it's a diamond. Okay. Let me see if I can get the value. It's a 7. No, it's an ace. I'm really sorry. Well, I tell you what, I bet you I knew what that card was ahead of time, right from the very beginning. Would you take that bet? Yeah, look, I knew it from the beginning. If you get the card right, and like I said before, it's going to happen more often than not, in your head, please remember that you have to change the presentation. Even if you've come close, you're going to have to change the presentation. Because if you go, oh, it's a heart, and it is, and you go, oh, it's a 7, and it is, the last one that you put down, you go, well, I bet you. Not only did I tell you the card you were merely thinking of, I bet you I knew from the very beginning what that card was as well. That'd be impossible, right? I mean, maybe somehow I read your mind, but could I have known, like 3 years ago when I bought these chips, exactly what your card would be that you're thinking of? That'd be impossible, right? And yet I did, because on the other side of these chips. So the presentation has to change. You have to adapt the presentation, and you have to adapt it based on what's happening in the routine. I can't really give you a script, because different things happen in different ways. If they name a king, and if they name, for example, an 8, and you said it's a 7, and they go, oh, that's really close. I can't believe you only got one card off. That's amazing. You go, yeah, but what if I told you that I didn't actually get it wrong? What about if I told you I've been messing with you? What about if I told you I'd influenced you the entire step of the way, and everything I said and everything I did and everything I told you was designed to get you to think of that playing card, and that everything else was smoke and mirrors? You don't believe me, right? Let me prove it to you. And then you show the chip. So the presentation has to change depending on the outcome of the routine. And I can't tell you that because it's going to change every single time you perform it, which is why it's such an exciting trick. talking about the purse routine that I mentioned earlier on, it's worth noting that you can actually do the whole routine walk around without needing a table at all. So very briefly, let me show you what this would look like. So, and I would suggest, if you're doing walk around, I would suggest using the purse handling, okay? So once again, you put these in here like this, so everything's self-contained. So this is in your right-hand pocket, so I'm right-handed, this is in my left-hand pocket. I just bring this out, I set the premise, I talk about how they're going to think of a card, and I'm going to bet them money that I know what their card is. I have them hold their hand out. So they hold their hand out, and I put the first chip onto their hand like that. And I say, I bet you 50, I can tell you what the suit of your card is. So I give them the first chip, and I go, concentrate, it's a heart. Now, let's say they say it's, I don't know, a heart. Let's say they say, yes, it's a heart. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to get the insert and say, well, I've got another couple of chips. Let's see if we can go one step further. I bet you this one, and I've obviously loaded the heart inside here. I bet you this one, I can tell you the value of your card. And I put this one on top of this one. Now, because these aren't magnetic, it's not a problem. So I put this one on top of this one. I say, I bet I can tell you the value. And I say, hey, it's a it's a 7. And they go, no, it's a 10. Yeah, okay, no problem. I've got one last chip. I'm going to make one last bet for you. And you've got two options here. You can put this on top of here, which is fine as long as they're keeping their hands still. And that's not a problem. But if you're worried about that, you can put this one, you can have them stepped forward like that. So the first one you put there, the second one you stepped it forward. So if this was the spectator's hand, the first one would go there, second one would go there, third one would go there. Okay, so you can have them like that, which is very fair and very open. But the last one that you put down is the shell, right? And the cool thing about this is then you can put the purse away, and let's just say they said it was a 3. So I'm stealing this one out here. With the walk around handling, I then say, if I told you I could prove I knew exactly what your card was before you picked it, would that be good? And they say yes. I'm going to load it like I did before. I'm not going to load it up here. I'm going to load it down here. So I've got this in my hand. My left hand is going to come forward and take these two, as my right hand comes forward and takes this one, and as it does, takes it off the hand, I load this in like that. So now I've loaded everything, and I know that the of is here. So all I do is I square everything up like this, and now I say, well, I never showed you the other side of the chips. Let me turn it over. This is a 3, this is an of, and this is a heart. And I turn them over into their hands. And then what you can do is you can just take this one off and say, look, have a look at that. And you can hand this to someone else. They're left with these two, which if they want to look at them, they can. They're in their hand. And this is another example of people not wanting to examine them because they've been in their hand the whole time. They feel like they've had them examined. But with this way of doing it, and honestly, when I perform in the real world, I'd say 70% of my close-up gigs are walk around. So this tends to be the handling that I do an awful lot because I don't have a table in front of me. And doing it in the spectator's hand just means that I don't have to worry about anything. And again, the reset is very, very quick. When you're using the purse handling, as you walk away from the table, you're just going to pop that there. You're going to pop that there, put that back into place. And then as you walk away, you're just going to open up the purse, put the chips back into the purse in the correct orientation, like that. Make sure that the two inserts are at the back, and you are reset and ready to go again. So it's about a 5 or 6 second reset that you can do as you're walking away. But the exciting thing is, for anybody who's a walk around performer, you can do this walk around and you won't have to worry at all. Now, an interesting way of being able to do this routine is by using an envelope that's openly out on display the entire time. And I'll tell you when I do this routine. when I do this handling. It's normally when I'm doing a banquet table. So if I'm performing at a corporate gig and I've got big tables of 10 and I've got everybody in front of me and slightly to the side, this is the handling I'll do. I'll take one step back and I'll do this handling. This is also great handling to do if you're working in a restaurant or you're working behind a bar or you're doing a parlor show or something like that. And it's kind of an interesting thing, and it uses the gambler's cop, okay? And what you're going to do here is you're going to set everything up onto the actual device, right? And it starts off in your left-hand pocket. If you were doing a parlor show or a show like a small cabaret show, this is the handling that you want to use. So what you do is you have this envelope in your pocket, and you have this in a different pocket. I've got a purse in there. Let's take the purse out. And you have this in a different pocket. So when you want to do this routine, you say, hey, I'm going to show you something. I've got 3 poker chips. I'll get to those in a minute, but I've got 3 poker chips. I also have, as well as the 3 poker chips, and your hands go into your pockets as if you're searching for something. And what I do is I come out and I gambler's cop this. Okay? Now, how you gambler's cop it is important. You want to gambler's cop it this way. You'll see why in a minute. So when you take it out, you want to make sure it's like this. Now, if you don't know what the gambler's cop is, it's held between the thumb and the middle finger, kind of like that. And the angles on this are perfect. You shouldn't be able to see anything. Can you see anything, Lloyd?
No.
There's nothing to see, right? So you have this in gambler's cop. Your hands go into your pockets. You're looking for something. And then you bring the envelope out. And you say, I've got an envelope here. Inside the envelope is a playing card. All I do is I lay the envelope down on top of the gambler's cop thing, and I open up the envelope and I show that I've got a card in there. And so I've got a card in there. We're going to get back to that in a bit. Now I'm going to pick this whole thing up. And from the audience's point of view, I'm just holding this envelope. And I say to them, I say, look, I'm going to keep this in full view the entire time. What you're about to see in here is amazing. Let me explain why. And then I say to somebody, I want you to think of a playing card. And I'm going to bet you £150 that I can tell you what that card is. So I put the first one either into their hand or onto the table in front of them. So I put the first one down. I put the off down, okay? And I say, right, okay, I can tell you the suit. It's a heart. Now, I don't know, what's the suit? Is it a heart?
Diamond.
It's a diamond. So this is what I'm looking at here. From the audience's point of view, it just looks like an envelope, doesn't it, Lloyd? But here's, can you see this from this side? Can you see what's happening here? Yeah. So all I'm going to do, if I turn this round, I know you've picked diamond. So as I take this envelope, as I'm talking, I'm just stealing the diamond off. So all I have to do is just peel it off like this as I take the envelope and gesture with this hand. Yeah. So if it was a club or a heart, I would do this as I'm gesturing. And this is just staying behind the envelope the entire time. So this is just behind the envelope the entire time. From the front, let's say you say club. I'm just going to take the envelope over here. Nobody's seeing anything. I'm not even looking at this. If you're going to use this handling, don't even look at the envelope. You're talking to the audience. You can see out your peripheral vision what the suits are. If I want to get a diamond, for example, I'm just taking it in this hand as I'm talking, and I say, well, you're £50 up, but let me see if I can try and do this with the value. So now I've got the correct chip here. I'm going to pick up this one and bring it forward and put it with that one, and I've loaded the correct value. I've loaded the correct suit. And I say, look, let me see if I can do it with the value. Concentrate on the value. I think it's a 7. Is that right?
No.
What is it?
4.
4. So now, here's the situation. If I turn this round here, I know it's a 4. So all I'm going to do is just take this 4, put it onto that magnet here, and pull it into this hand. Any of the ones that are on the left side of the index, I'm going to pull them back so they're behind the fingers and just leave them there. If I've got the other suit at the top and I need to get the 2, for example, I'll pull that down and I'll take this and I'll put it onto this one and then move this across. If it's one of the values that are on the other side, I don't need to do anything. I can just pull those out like this very, very easily. So let me show you what that looks like. So, I bet you £50 that it's a 7. Is it a 7, Lloyd?
No.
What is it?
3.
It's a 3. So now I go, oh, I really thought it was. I tell you what, I'm going to give you one more chance. I have one more chip. So now I bring this forward, and as I come here like this, I've got that 3. So I say, I want to prove to you that I knew, I bet you that last £50 that I knew ahead of time exactly what you would do. And they go, yeah, okay, prove it. So now I go, okay, I'll prove it, because don't worry about the chips for a minute. I've had this card inside this envelope from the very beginning. So now I take the card out and I put the envelope away. And as I put the envelope away, I'm ditching the index. So now I'm completely free. I'm completely fair. And I can either have this as a gag, or it can say, look on the chips, or it can be your card, whatever you want it to be. And then you go, well, you don't look very impressed, but these chips have been here the whole time. What's interesting is what's on the other side of them. You see, this is a diamond, this is an of, and this is a 3. 3 of diamonds, the card that I knew you would pick. So it's a very interesting way to do it, where the index is being held out from the very, very beginning. And it's a great way of doing it. Now, one other thing that you can do, and I've played around with this as well. Oh, that's focused. One other thing that you can do, and available from your favorite magic dealer. Focus is amazing. The other thing that you can do is, if you want to, you can actually get double-sided tape, and you can put double-sided tape on here, and you can have that permanently on the envelope. You could even have the envelope a bit bigger if you wanted to. You could even have like a jumbo card in a jumbo envelope and have the index sellotaped or double-sided taped onto the back of the envelope. It's completely up to you. It's a kind of a very interesting way to go with it. And it keeps everything in full view, and you're not having to go into your pockets at any point. So that is the envelope handling. Right, let's talk about playing cards, packs of cards. This index, created by Javier, was designed to fit onto a pack of cards perfectly. It is the perfect size for a deck of cards. How cool is that? Now, let me explain a couple of different ways that you can use this with a deck of cards, either by having it on the box or having it in the pocket. I'm not going to go through the routine again for you. I think you've got that at this point. Now, you can use the gambler's cop method that I talked about in the envelope routine. So you can, as you pull out your deck of cards, load the deck of cards onto the index, and you can have them here the entire time, and it's hidden perfectly behind the deck of cards. Or you can have them stuck, and you can get double-sided tape, and you can just stick that to the back of the deck of cards.